Forgot my light. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Garbage Time Takes. We're a little bit rusty because Bob forced us to delay the pod by a day. As always, I'm Derek here with my co-host, the aforementioned Bob
Bob.
and Dennis.
Yeah, present and accounted for right here.
And Dennis, both me and you were present and accounted for yesterday when we would normally
We
record.
were indeed.
When we would normally record said podcast, but Bob, the last man standing in terms of always being, present and accounted for every pod previously. This was his week to finally push us back one. Bob, what say you? How do you defend yourself?
I mean, I'll accept the accusations, but I will say that, I reject all hate in all of its forms. And I would like to think...
Spread love, not hate, Bob.
I would like to think that I should get a little bit of clemency for sending out an advanced message to try to clear it before anything.
Correct. And it may have only been an hour before.
And advanced as in an hour, folks. Just to let you know. Advanced.
Well,
it's loosely defined.
Let's not forget that Derek only gets out of work at like 5 o'clock Pacific, so that's like 3 hours. That would be like 8 o'clock when I sent the message.
I'm on Central Time now, so I'm 2 hours behind.
Well, see, I tried to send it right at what I thought when you were getting out. That's okay. My bad.
I appreciate your thoughtfulness, Bob, very much so.
Thank you,
Dennis. Dennis, is it just unacceptable?
I'm gonna try to walk the borderline here between giving Bobby a slight bit of defense and also raking him over the coals at the same time. Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable.
Bob always has a lot of things to say when the rest of us are absent or needing a delay.
Exactly, which is why it's the perfect opportunity to, like you said, the last man standing. I mean, we had to, begin a podcast without Derek when he was doing whatever unidentified things he was doing. I mean, there's been instances
making
where
dinner.
I wasn't here, and okay,
making dinner. What?
Making dinner.
Oh no! Oh Lord! Spread love, Dennis. Spread love.
There were, of course, you could say that. You have to say that. You're the one on the hot seat. Many instances in which podcasts were started without me in attendance, and I had to deal with the flack from that and the backlash from that, deservedly so in some cases. But now it's our opportunity to give Bobby some crap, and we were informed in advance, as he said, about 8 o'clock yesterday before our typical 10 p.m. recording. So
I will never forget.
Glad to see you here today.
Yes, we're very thankful Bob could be with us today. I'll never forget, Bob, you almost made it all 4 years of undergrad without being late to a class or sleeping in for a class. I'll never forget that day. And when the unforeseen happened and Bob slept in to a class and did not make it.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no!
As a flagrant, tardy person and student in my first 2 years of undergrad, I understood Bob's situation very well. Never forget when I slept in. Never forget when I slept in and was late to a noon class.
Oh no. We don't talk about
that. Not the miss in the noon class. I was gonna say here, I know firsthand that Derek cannot say that he was almost not tardy to 4 years of college because I sat there wondering where the heck he was in several physics lectures.
Correct. I mean, several physics lectures. It was tough, Dennis, getting up for 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday.
Was that Kermit? Or was it Clues?
It was those Clues.
Yes.
What was his actual name? Lacluse? Is that his actual name?
Lacluse, yeah.
Aaron Lacluse. Stupid French people. Yeah.
Because that was Physics 1, I believe, and then the next semester I took it was Physics 2, and it was with I don't know what his actual name was. We called him Kermit because his last name like kind of looked like Kermit. So that was maybe mean of us, but you were not in that one, I don't believe. But yeah, you
No,
were
but
late to several Physics 1 lectures.
that and don't forget the legendary class with Alan P. Rudy, where you guys put my desk in the middle of the circle when I arrived late to class one day, and it was literally like 5 minutes. Never forget.
They're just trying to have to figure out where he's supposed to sit because
Correct.
we've moved his desk to the middle of the room, and
Correct.
I was the classic.
I was the center of the bullseye.
Rudyville was brilliant. Shout out.
I was. Anyway, big news today in the MLB. We'll get into the pod. Aaron Judge signed with the Yankees, but late last night, Carlos Rodon signed with the Yankees. I thought we were going to be able to talk about it on the pod because it happened like literally 30 minutes before we were set to start recording. Yankees making big time moves, Bob. I mean, you get another ace to the rotation. You bring back a Judge. I believe we talked about that last week. How are you feeling, Bob? Well, are they ready? Are they World Series ready? Or is this all just to lose to the Astros again anyway?
See, I'm concerned. I do like the bolstering of the, adding another big arm to the rotation. I think that was definitely needed. I think after Garrett Cole and, who's often inconsistent at times for a starter, for an ace. I was glad to see another addition of a big arm. I'm still concerned about, I still kind of wish that the Yankees would have splashed, or maybe I haven't seen, and they have already, on a better interior infield move.
Their middle infield still sucks. They have not made a move.
Because that still concerns me, because they have tried to solve that problem by committee, and it's never really worked, and they've never really been able to find some young talent to kind of stick at that position. And that just really leaves a massive hole in their batting order if their big sluggers can't deliver. But I do Carlos Rodon's no joke, and I'd much rather have him as a Yankee than play against him. So, welcome to the squad.
Why don't the Yankees just go ahead and pay for, I don't know, Jose Altuve and just anybody, the best middle infielders, the best outfielders, the best corner infielders, the best starting pitching, the best rotation. I mean, they can have it all because they've got the deepest pockets in the league, man. The Yankees, they just boil my blood, man. They just boil my blood.
Do they boil your blood, Dennis?
Pay for wins. You can't pay for wins, but they do.
Do they boil your blood because the Reds don't?
Yes, I was just about to say that. Or
because
they boil my blood because it's an unfair game.
Dennis, but the Padres aren't. The Padres don't have a market that's that much bigger.
Look at
than
all these
Cincinnati.
signings. All of the signings that have been happening the last couple weeks here have been all. It's the Dodgers, it's the Yankees, it's the Giants, who are a bigger market. It's all of the large markets in Major League Baseball. There is such an incredible gap. It's
Dennis, the Detroit Tigers haven't signed diddly squat. And guess what? The Chicago Cubs were supposed to have Carlos Correa, and all of a sudden, guess what? He's gone. Their prize catcher, they got cheap. He's gone. It's just devastation for us, Dennis.
You don't gotta explain the Cubs to me, Bob. It's been very disappointing to watch. Trey Turner gone, Carlos Correa gone, Carlos Rodon gone.
Derek, this is the famed Chicago Cubs we're talking about. This ain't Tiddlywinks Chicago. I might as well call them the Chicago Reds. Cincinnati Reds. This isn't Tiddlywinks Reds. This is the Chicago Cubs we're talking about here.
Hopefully Cubs fans around the nation don't have their hopes up that we're going to get Dansby Swanson, because there's no shot. I was telling my brother a couple weeks ago, I said, here's what the Cubs are going to do. They're going to sign a bunch of mid players who are past their prime, a.k.a. Cody Bellinger, a.k.a. Jameson Taillon. And then they're going to say, oh, we were trying to spend money, but we were outbid. No, they're not trying to spend money, because if they were trying to spend money to improve the team, they would have went out and got guys. So I have zero faith that Dansby Swanson will be a Chicago Cub. Zero.
Well, Bob Castellini could make an 11th hour, move, to try to improve the squad. Dennis, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I know. I just read today on MLB trade rumors that big push for Johnny Cueto, savior, bringing him back to the Queen City. I mean, how can we be beat if we make that signing? Good Lord.
Maybe he
Um,
wants to retire a Red.
My late season fantasy acquisition, Johnny ERA legend Cueto.
I mean, it wouldn't be the worst move in the world. I make fun of it. Johnny Cueto is historically been a very good pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. We have a lot to owe to Johnny Cueto. He would be a veteran presence in a rotation full of young people who don't know what they're doing,
Full of
which
a
would be a
stained
great thing to
rotation
have.
that needs anybody that can throw a baseball 90 feet.
Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Graham Ashcraft all could use somebody who knows what they're doing, and that would make a lot of sense for that purpose.
Graham
I'm not trying
Wow.
to dish on that, but the fact that we're in this situation where that is an actual consideration just makes me sick to my stomach.
Bob,
Also,
go ahead,
go ahead.
Dennis. Go ahead. I can sit on it.
Um, just back quickly to the whole like Yankees rant thing. My perspective is 100% shaped by the fact that I'm a fan of a small market team. I mean, there's no way getting around that. It absolutely is. But what makes me even more frustrated than just the fact that the Yankees can make these signings, which of course makes me mad, is that Yankees fans then sit and complain about how they still don't have enough. That's what makes me mad is, oh, we've signed the best player in baseball to a multi-year mega deal. We go out and still sign massive deals to really good players and to improve our rotation and everything else. And oh, but our middle infield is garbage. So,
It does suck,
unless they do
to
something
be
about that.
fair. Second,
Sure,
second,
but like
short, and third.
try having every single part of your team being absolutely dog water.
Well,
I mean, it's just
Well,
the
me and
rich get
Bob
richer.
both experienced that with watching the Detroit Tigers last year. Who, by the way,
Sure,
Bob, did you see the massive Tigers signing from earlier this week?
I guess I slipped past me, Derek. I'm sure this is not going to be anybody that massive.
None other than Cincinnati Reds legend Michael Lorenzen.
Oh,
We're sunk. We're
Michael
sunk.
Lorenzen.
Oh God.
Wow, no, hey, Michael Lorenzen can sling it, man. Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good
Dennis-
signing.
Dennis-
That's a good signing.
Back-to-back years of signing Reds legends. First, it was Tucker Barnhart, dude stinks.
Second, it was Michael Papierski.
Yeah, Michael Papierski. I forgot all about Michael Paps.
Sapirski's gonna save you guys.
He's not
Forgot
going to
all
save
about-
Diddley.
Forgot all about
Papierski and
Michael
Lorenzen.
Paps. But Michael Lorenzen and his medium-sized jerseys and cool shoes are going to take us to the top.
Well,
Well, now that he can't hit anymore, he's not as useful as he was before.
Also true.
When we're keeping Henry Ford Hospital open with the amount of Tommy John surgeries that we're sending their way, we could use somebody
Facts.
with the likes
Facts.
of Michael Lorenzen to come in and throw a few innings. I mean, heck,
How about Sino Perez?
we just
get him in there,
I
too.
mean, Dennis, you've never seen the fleecing that the Tigers pulled off. We just shipped out Joe Jimenez, Briefcase Joe, for massive
Briefcase Joe.
compensation. I mean,
Yeah, I heard the GM there is turning things around.
what?
He
mind
comes
you-
from a winning organization.
Mind Mind you, I did say
Your
Briefcase Joe
intangibles?
had turned it around, which he kind of had, but massive compensation.
The only thing the Tigers are missing now is to trade away Gregory Blow Saves Constantly Soto,
To the Reds.
and they'll be
Oh, no.
in business.
To the
just
Reds.
find-
I think the
find
Reds need a
some
bullpen
team-
arm.
Find
The only
some
guy
team
from
who's-
Detroit who makes the All-Star game out of pity because someone from Detroit has to.
Correct.
Because he throws
Oh.
100.
Two-time All-Star. He's a two-time All-Star. You can't take that away from
You can't take it away from him,
Cannot.
nor can you take away his 3-digit live arm.
him.
Extremely
Correct.
live.
Just got to find a team desperate enough for a live arm.
Well,
says the
We're-
people that just
we're
signed
about,
Johnny.
we're about 5
the
hours
most-
down the road.
Johnny, the most non-live arm ever seen, Cueto, to a deal because he averages like 1 strikeout a game over 8 innings.
Johnny,
of
you never know when I'm actually going to come to the plate, Cueto. The little twist, baby.
Correct.
What a delivery. What a beautiful delivery.
Anything else we want to cover with MLB before we move on? I think that
I'm good.
covered it.
I'm
We're
good.
just waiting on Dansby
That
Swanson.
was pretty solid.
I'm
Just
good.
waiting on Dansby Swanson.
Chicago
We'll
clubs,
see if-
please sign somebody so I can see Derek.
Please.
Have a reaction, please.
But I'm not getting my hopes up. Not getting my hopes up. College bowl season, fellas, is in full effect. I don't know if you're aware, but today were the first 2 bowl games of the bowl season. We had the Bahamas Bowl, where UAB defeated Miami of Ohio 24-20 in the Bahamas. Legendary bowl game. One of the most prestigious of all the bowl games,
Correct.
I'm sure.
Correct.
And then we had the Cure Bowl that just finished up a few hours ago between number 24 Troy, who finished the season 12-2, beating number 25 University of Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners, beat them 18-12. Dennis, I come to you. UC is the first game of the bowl games tomorrow. Will they take down Louisville
With revenge on their mind.
after Louisville's head coach came to Cincinnati and then said, "But I'm not going to coach you in the bowl game"? Who do you got? Dennis? Who do you got?
I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical. Out of principle, I have to ride with the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, as I have all year. And I think that there's still a very distinguished possibility, based on what I believe to be a pretty stark talent difference, that the University of Cincinnati Bearcats come out on top of this one, 11 a.m. East Coast time tomorrow. However, I don't know how you get up after the coaching shenanigans that have just gone down. I don't know how you get up and try to win this one for who knows who your actual coach is. I mean, it's just very confusing, I think, for the players at this point, because you bought into this whole, Luke Fickell scheme, his ideas, his playbook, and all the things that he brings with him this whole season and the last couple seasons. And you've had a lot of success doing it. And I just think it's a pretty crushing blow right before to have to play another game right after he's just abandoning ship. So, and then not to add on to the fact that the coach coming in is literally the head coach from the opposing team. I think if I am actually being objective about this, I'm probably going with the Louisville Cardinals. I just don't think there's going to be much effort played in this game, and I don't blame any of the guys for feeling that way if that's the way it plays out.
Bob, I mean, we can also refer back to Dennis. Maybe he can provide some answers. But this might be the first championship that a Cincinnati team is playing at Fenway Park all time.
Well, it's not true because you had the 1975 World Series, which was Cincinnati and Boston. And so that went to 7. Yeah, darn. So that went to 7. So there were 3 games, I believe. I think we had the 4-3 advantage in Cincinnati. So I believe it was 3 games played in Fenway. But yeah, that was a great World Series. So we have played a championship in Boston, believe it or not.
Okay. Well, I guess that roast goes by the wayside, unfortunately. But it is strange that it takes a college football team to be playing a championship game in Fenway Park, Dennis.
I mean, we're talking about 47 years ago, so it's been a hot minute.
Bob, does UC stand a chance?
Unfortunately, they weren't good before the coaching change, and they're even worse now that the coach that they did believe in is gone. Thank goodness to the Wisconsin Badgers. So hopefully we can pick up a couple more free wins in the future, Derek. But
we're gonna mark this down. I mean, we're gonna have to mark this exact timestamp down so we can refer back to this when Wisconsin is causing trouble in the Big Ten next year.
I got you, Dennis.
That's a very confident statement. It's a very confident statement for basically naysaying a coach who's had a lot of success.
Should I add that to our previous August 16th predictions, where Dennis declared on December 1st that UC will be middle of the road in the Big 12 and bowl eligible?
Might as well.
And my take that Colorado will be bowl eligible, sure, we'll add it.
Wisconsin
This
will
list
be.
is just growing longer and longer by the day.
Well, Dennis, the Ville may have some business to take care of because last I checked, their coach was just ransacked in the middle of the night by the UC Bearcats, and they've got a score to settle, even if he will not be on the opposing sideline. Dennis, who is even quarterbacking your team anymore? I don't even understand this at this point.
I'm assuming it's going to be Evan Prater.
Well, then I'm concerned.
I don't know.
I'm not sure who I'm more concerned being the quarterback of your team, Evan Prater or Ben Bryant. Because we all know my feelings about Ben. But
I'm also further concerned about our Scott Satterfield hire. I just read a quote from him, which I already knew that he wasn't going to be on either sideline. But he said, I told both teams I'm removing myself from the bowl game. I'm not going there, not going to be in that situation. I'm staying away from that. That's a weak cop-out move, Scott. Come on.
Correct.
That's our head coach. That is weak. That
Correct.
is weak.
He should be going to UC. He should be going to UC and divulging Louisville's entire offensive and defensive playbooks. And UC should be shutting them out in the bowl game, but instead he's a coward.
He's an absolute coward for that. Absolutely. I mean, that's just no cojones.
Just a failure to hire Deion Sanders by the UC Bearcats, as usual. But hopefully it's a close game for Dennis's sake. I have no real preferences in this. I think the Cardinals are going to win, but I have no reason to root against UC. I think Dennis is already going to be humiliated enough next year when his prediction has to come back to light again, and they're not middle of the road and they're just bottom feeder city.
Yeah, I'll be rooting for UC for you, Dennis. We've given you a lot of flack over the regular season.
We have no skin in the game here.
Well, mostly because I felt Dennis was looking through the 2022 season with rose-tinted glasses of the 2021 season.
Oh no!
And I was trying very hard.
You know,
to temper Dennis's expectations to help him realize UC just wasn't going to be the same team this year with an Eastern Michigan retread quarterback. It just was never going to happen, and unfortunately it took the green wave to bring the tsunami and wipe them out. So for that, I apologize.
No, I mean, don't apologize for that, because the thing is that you were right about that, as it turns out. And, you know, I try to sit on here and be objective every week, but at the end of the day, for some of the teams that we're talking about, namely Cincinnati, Michigan, Michigan State, Lions, and Bengals, there are rose-tinted glasses involved. It's hard to turn off the, put away the fan jersey, as it were, and, sit here with an objective thinking cap at times. So I do appreciate the effort, but, when you try to temper the expectations of a fan, it doesn't typically go very well.
Correct.
Which is what happened here.
Correct. But now you've seen the light, Dennis. You've seen the light on Ben Bryant after his miserable performance against Tulane.
Yeah, what was it? I think it was the East Carolina game after that one. I came to you guys and I was like, uh-oh. But yeah,
correct.
I digress.
Correct. After you won basically because of what? A kick return, a punt return? That was the deciding score?
We had a kick return and a 5-yard dump off that went to the house.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
The Pirates deserved better, Bob.
He kept coming to me saying that Ben Bryant was actually a UC product. Remember this?
He is, by the way. He spent 1 year at Eastern Michigan because he couldn't beat out Desmond Ridder, who's starting for the Atlanta Falcons this week, by the way.
Dennis, you spoiled the thunder. I was going to bring that up later. Darn it.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
So good. Bob, I was looking through the bowl list. I did not see Michigan State in there.
Oh, man. Oh, no. Where are they, Bobby?
Bob, not even the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl? Come on.
That's my favorite bowl game. That's my favorite bowl game every year.
You could have went down to Ford Field and
watched some crazy
MSU. It might not even be the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl anymore. It's the Quick Lane Bowl now. But you're telling me Bowling Green and New Mexico State and MSU couldn't beat either of those teams?
Just disrespectful. We'll be back.
He'll be back. I tell you what, Bob. I was looking through the highlight tape of the recent 4-star who flipped to you guys from Washington State. I was impressed. He looked pretty good. It'll remain to be seen, though, whether Mel Tucker has the stones to bench Peyton Thorne or tell him to transfer. That's what will be interesting.
I'm not confident on that.
Not confident?
No comment on this at this time.
Okay. And yeah, then I'm just sitting here waiting for U of M, New Year's Eve, hoping to get the victory that eluded me last year.
How is that weight, by the way? I've always thought that that's a bit of an interesting schedule thing, which is another reason I'm excited for the expansion, because I think there'll be more games earlier in the bowl season. But that's like a month, or maybe more. That's crazy.
Almost a month. The Big Ten championship game was December 3rd, I believe. So a full 4 weeks. Full 4 weeks between the championship and the playoffs. So very much looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go, even though the game is in Arizona, because I'll be flying home. Family's more important than football.
Gross.
I say with a single tear falling down my face.
Yeah.
It would have. I tell you what, it probably would have been cheaper to go to the game than fly home, but that's okay. That's okay. Speaking of the college football playoff expansion, before we move into the NFL, there was one thing I wanted to talk about. Joel Klatt, I saw a clip of him today saying that before the bowl games, not college football playoff prestige, those bowl games are becoming irrelevant with every passing year, more and more relevant with every passing year. So how do they sort of separate bowl season from college football playoff to make sure that those bowls just don't die? Because eventually, I mean, there's already so little care, at least among like programs that expect to compete for college football playoff opportunities. If they don't make the college football playoff, so many of them, their star players just decide to opt out. So with the expanded playoff, now you're going to have even more opportunities to play in the prestigious bowls. But I feel like that makes it even less prestigious to go to all the other bowl games, because now there's so much more opportunity. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts around that. If eventually we think that the bowl games are just going to die off completely, or what the solution could possibly be. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're not in the playoff, most teams do not care to play in a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, I think this has always been something that has been an argument for why you shouldn't expand the playoff, and I think it's something that the NCAA has kind of had to think about and deal with, because people always put out the argument that if you expand the playoff, it's going to make the bowl games that do exist outside of the playoff even less meaningful. And I don't really know what the solution is. I guess, this is what makes college basketball so cool, is because you can have a 68-team field in the biggest tournament of the year and include 68 of the 300 and whatever it is Division I college basketball programs. And you can include the champion of the Sun Belt, and you can include the champion of the ASUN. And I mean, you can bring in these smaller conferences that are otherwise not really playing for anything, because they know that they have a shot at the big dance and they have a shot to be a Cinderella and all that kind of stuff, which is great and really fun. You can't do that in college football. No matter how much they actually expand it to, you're never going to get to that point, because it's a different game that can't be played.
You can't do it in the FBS, because that is how the FCS playoffs work. Each conference champion, they do what? Is it a 16-team bracket or a 32-team bracket for the FCS playoffs? I don't remember. But it's every FCS conference champion, except for the representative of the SWAC and the MEAC maybe. I think the SWAC and MEAC representatives playing the Gasparilla Bowl, but I'm not entirely confident on that one. But I think for the FCS
Here's
playoffs, every conference champion um, plays for they're seeded one through whatever, and then they all play for the playoff.
Yeah, I think it is something like that. And here's my only solution to the original question. And I'm guilty of someone who, I mean, even before the playoff, I didn't really, buy into the bowls too much outside of like the Rose Bowl and the Orange Bowl and all, like the big ones, which then just became the playoff. So there's probably people that, have a little more desire to see those smaller bowls and watch them and see them not die. But the only thing I can think of really is that you create another sort of pseudo smaller tournament playoff style for some of the smaller schools that would be, that are striving to play in these bowl games that are becoming irrelevant. Because I think anything that becomes, to me anyway, anything that becomes a tournament style, anything that becomes a, multiple teams all fighting to get to some sort of championship is much more interesting than like 20 different like games that are all their own individual championships. Like that just doesn't, it just doesn't resonate with me as well. And maybe I'm not the average fan, but if you could set up some sort of tournament bracket for smaller schools that win their conferences, I think that'd be interesting.
My big issue, and then we can get to Bob. I just don't think that the bowl game should be a part of the college football playoff. I think if you separate the bowl games from the college football playoff, all those things, because like how prestigious is the Rose Bowl really when it's not the game that's being played in the playoff? You know what I mean? Like, how many people care about playing in the Rose Bowl when it's not in the playoff versus when it is in the playoff? But if you just took away the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and the Fiesta Bowl, and you took them out of the playoff and just made those teams compete for the playoff spot itself, then I think you could still keep the prestige of the actual bowl games. But that's just my own personal opinion. I don't know what Bob thinks.
It might help a little bit, but I don't know if that really does too much, to be honest.
I don't know. I'm just kind of like dreaming pie in the sky kind of thing, but I think that I think that if Dennis, I like Dennis's idea. If like you included some sort of like tournament style format for like a lot of these like bowl games that weren't like that are kind of more low tier games, that can make it interesting. I think especially like it somehow if you could like, and I know this is like it's hard to do, and it's just like an idea. But if you were somehow like able to like if you won the like feeder tournament system, you got a spot in the college football playoff next year or something like that. That would be like a cool like something that like it would give you like something to like I don't know strive for like play for like kind of thing. But that's just like taking a page out of like soccer's book where like teams that even if they don't finish in like the best, they still get some sort of tournament that can then bring them into another like upper tier echelon if they win that.
That would that may I think I didn't really understand what Dennis's point was at first. 'Cause I was like, how does that fix the bowl, like the prestige of the bowls? So like Dennis, are you proposing that like the winner of the Quick Lane Bowl and the Idaho Potato Bowl would then play for the winner of the Bahamas Bowl or some new bowl or something like that? Or what or how does your thought process about including smaller teams help the prestige of the bowl games that are dying off?
I think you can do it in two ways. I think, in one part of my mind, it was basically more of an X of the bowl system and just creating another college football playoff. But
They're
the
just
more I
killing the
thought
bowl
about it,
games entirely.
more or less. But I think there's another way you can do it because the bowl system is already set up to take certain teams from certain conferences.
It
And
is.
I think if there's a way to almost bracket the bowl games, like you said, where it's the winner of this bowl game plays the winner of this bowl game every year, so you know what slot you're inserting yourself. And the bowls are they're designed already to make the matchups fairly even and interesting. Like they're not designed to make these crazy lopsided matchups, otherwise it wouldn't be a good bowl game. So if you incorporate that somehow, and it's the winner of this bowl plays the winner of this bowl, and there's some sort of end to it, maybe 3 or 4 wins get you some sort of title. I think
Sure.
that is kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay. That would be interesting. That would be interesting.
The main problem that I think of immediately is it would be hard to incorporate as many teams once again, because the college football playoff is only getting to 12. And so if you were to replicate that, then you're dropping just tons of teams or making the bowl games that still exist even less meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah, I still think they should have capped expansion at 8, but I thought the 5 Power 5 champions, the highest seeded mid-major champion, and then 2 at-larges. I thought that would have been perfect size for the college football playoff. But
That was kind of what I had originally thought as well. Yeah.
I never liked the idea of 12. I always thought 8 was the perfect number if there was ever going to be expansion, because yeah. Well. What can you do?
Fair enough.
NFL talk. Dennis. The Bengals just keep rolling. Joe Burrow finally gets the Cleveland Browns monkey off his back. 0-5 becomes 1-5. And somehow, even though the Ravens keep magically winning games, you're right there in the thick of it for the AFC North still. And who do you got this week, Dennis? Who do you got?
We got Tampa Tom, baby.
Tampa Tom. And you're only 3.5-point favorites, Dennis. And I'm pretty sure the line opened at 4.5, if I remember right. What is going on, Dennis? Is there disrespect for the Cincinnati Bengals?
No, favorites is favorites. It doesn't matter if you win the game by 1 or 20, but I will say that, and let's not forget, these games start with a bump for the home team. This is in Tampa. So, we're talking about maybe more of a touchdown kind of spread on a neutral field, which is it's pretty sizable, reasonable spread. I think there's a little bit of disrespect for the Bengals. I get it, though. We're talking about a team who doesn't know if they're going to have Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins or either coming into this Sunday. We have a few injuries on the defense as well. Not to say that Tampa is fully healthy and firing on all cylinders, but I think there's a little bit of this I don't want to call it false, but there's just still this belief that Tampa is just going to be the team that everyone expected them to be at the beginning of the year. Like, I know I had them in the A tier as we did our preseason stuff. I think both of you did too, or close to it. So there's just this lack of ability to, fall off of a team that everybody thought was going to be really good heading into the year. And there's a belief that there's still going to be. I think that's part of it. Injuries are playing a part of it. But at the end of the day, if we go down to Tampa and get a win, I'm not worried about the spread.
Yeah, Bob, I don't know what you think, but I don't know if it's necessarily disrespect towards Cincinnati, but just too much respect for, Tom Brady and his greatness.
Absolutely.
As much as I'd like to see Tampa Bay win this game, there's just no way. There's just not really a possibility or way I can see that happening. I can't.
Why would you love to see Tampa Bay win this game? I sit here and support the Detroit Lions, and I sit here and support the Michigan State Spartans, and when it comes time for anyone else to support one of my teams, everybody freaking is silent and rooting against me. What the heck?
Dennis,
Sick of this
I want you to get one thing very, very clear, one thing very, very straight right now. I've been nothing but rooting against Mike Tomlin, division rival of the Cincinnati Bengals, all season.
It has nothing directly to do with Cincinnati.
I've been
just
nothing but rooting
against Mike Tomlin.
Nothing rooting against the Ravens all year because I thought they were fraudulent bums. And I've been nothing but rooting against...
doesn't have anything to do with Cincinnati.
The Cleveland Browns, even though I actually kind of like Cleveland. I've been rooting against them because I want Cincinnati to be successful.
But when we play Tampa Bay in a game that we probably should win, we should lose.
Dennis,
you hope we lose.
Dennis, who cares if I want them to win? Cincinnati's going to blow out Tampa by 2 scores. I think Tampa.
Here's the thing.
I
To
think
me,
it's
it does
over.
matter that you want them to win because I want the Detroit Lions to win and I want the Michigan State Spartans to win. So it still bothers me. I don't care what your objective opinion is. The fact that you can't support a team that
I support you,
the
Dennis.
opposite of my situation. Thank you,
I
Derek.
support you. I support you because, the Bengals give me hope for the Lions. And that's not only is it because Dennis is my friend, a very good friend who may have forgot to tell me happy birthday on my birthday, but that's okay. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals do give me hope for the Detroit Lions that a poverty franchise, at least for our respective lifetimes, and for Lions fans, anyone over the age of 60's lifetime, or under the age of 60's lifetime, that they can one day rise to the top and compete for Super Bowls. And it gives me hope for the Detroit Lions. So, Dennis, I support you. I think the Bengals will win by 10. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. Regardless of whether T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd play, the Buccaneers defense, Stain, 35 points by San Francisco before they pulled their starters for the entire fourth quarter, led by Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. That dude's balling right now. The Bengals offensive line, even though the Bucs offensive line, even though the Bengals won't have Trey Hendrickson, which is a big loss.
It is a big loss, absolutely. Not to be
Even though the Bengals won't have him, the Bucs O-line is so bad and their second half defense is so good that it's just not going to matter. And so if this game gets out to like 10-0, 13-3 early, you can put the nail in the coffin because Tampa Bay is not built to come back unless they're playing the Saints in a game like that. So I support you, Dennis. Don't you worry.
I mean, I just can never go back on my fandom of Tom Brady, and I can't do it. It can't happen. I've been rooting for him for too long to not root for him. But the Cincinnati Bengals, if Tom Brady was to lose, the Cincinnati Bengals wouldn't be the worst team he could lose to. At least it would help out Dennis.
What love being spread from Bobby Epler right now. It wouldn't be the worst team to lose to. Wow. Okay.
Dennis, at least I'm
spread love, not hate.
Dennis,
now we know what we're working with.
Dennis, I mean, they call me
Maybe I'll be a Jets fan this week. Maybe I'll be a Jets fan this week.
Dennis, you're more than welcome to be the Jets fan this week if you'd like to. We got plenty of haters. We can add you to the list.
I'm just out here pouring out my heart for my friends' teams 24/7 all the time, and then just get nothing but.
I'll give you this, Dennis. Dennis, you want your flowers? I'll give you your flowers. You've been way more with me this year than my fellow Detroit Lions fan, Derek Rezio here, who's bailed out him at any signs of difficulty.
Thank you.
It was 2 games.
I appreciate the flowers. I appreciate the flowers. It just hurts I can't get them in return. That's all.
That's why.
All right.
Wow.
It's all right.
I just checked.
Come on, you literally just said that.
I just checked my NFC tier list. I had the Bucs and the Rams in the S tier. Yikes! Yikes!
Oh no.
And the Packers in the A tier.
Had,
and the Packers were in the A tier. And then my B tier was Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Arizona. I went 2 for 3, respectable. I knew I should have went with my gut and put San Francisco in the A tier, but I didn't. And then I had...
It's safe to say that we don't want to revisit our preseason rankings.
I still believe the Minnesota Vikings are a C tier team that are over, achieving at this point in the season.
A tier, baby. A tier team.
The Lions, I had them right behind the Vikings in the C tier, followed by Washington and Seattle. So I had that grouping pretty good, Detroit, Washington, and Seattle. I got to give myself some credit for that one. But, I mean, speaking of the frauds that are the Minnesota Vikings, been saying it all year. They don't have a defense. Even though Justin Jefferson gets 200 yards receiving, they still can't score points in the red zone when it matters most. And the Lions are the 7th-ranked defense in DVOA over the past 6 weeks, over their 5-1 stretch. And it's good to be a Lions fan, Bob. It is good to be a Lions fan. You've been riding them out. You've been riding with them ever since they were 1-6. I waited until they were 3-6 to start riding with them. But they have a chance to win out and go to the playoffs, Bob. Can you believe that? Meaningful games in December. In the graphic, in the Hunt graphic. I mean, I was telling some friends the other day, being in the Hunt graphic in mid-December almost means more than going to the playoffs themselves. I'm just going to throw that out there. Almost.
I mean, it's truly, truly, truly unbelievable. I can't believe that. Yeah, I can't believe it, but I can't believe it at the same time that we're catching fire like we are. The Minnesota Vikings. I mean, even though Dennis was, in love with the Minnesota Vikings,
couldn't believe we would fathom calling them frauds.
I mean, couldn't fathom it. The lowly poverty franchise Detroit Lions just dusted them, made them look silly.
Which I was rooting for, by the way.
Well, good for you, Dennis. I mean, Dennis, here's the thing.
At the time.
Here's the thing. You just chose the objectively better team, which, I mean,
Correct.
I can't fault you for. And this I don't know what I'm seeing here for the Detroit Lions. I mean, I don't know how this happens. We allow a darn near franchise record in receiving yards from the opposing wide receiver. We allow 400 yards passing from the opposing quarterback. And somehow, normally when that happens to the Detroit Lions, it's devastation. It's absolute blowout city. It's SOL. It's not pretty. But this week, darn it, Jared Goff is the man. And I will not be tolerating any Jared Goff slander for the rest of the season. He could be bum city the way up from here on out, and he will have exceeded my expectations. We beat the Minnesota Vikings, which I said we had to do, and now all I need is this week the Jets to be vanquished and the Chicago Bears to lose, so we can officially vanquish all last place in the North narratives. I want to get rid of them. The record will be we're not going for the record anymore. We only needed 2 more seasons of last place for the record, and I didn't want to go anywhere near it. Buffalo, you can keep that. But I am extremely intrigued for this matchup against the Jets, which the line is currently sitting. I'm not going to make it our game bet of the week, so I might as well review that the line is currently right now at -1 for the Detroit Lions. I mean, unreal. I believe that.
The Jets opened. The Jets opened as like 3.5, 4-point favorites, I think.
Yes, they did, and then it flipped when the announcement was made that the quarterbacks were changing. Massive scenes.
Huge.
But this just means a part of me doesn't like it, because at the same time, that just means if we lose this game, it's going to be devastation. Because
it's going to be devastation either way.
I mean,
whether it was Mike White or Zach Wilson, it was going to be devastation. But yes, this will be more devastation. It'd be Matt Flynn all over again.
Correct. We cannot have Matt Flynn 2.0. I mean, darn it, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're the only team that could possibly win the North besides
Correct.
the Minnesota Vikings. Who would have even thought
Correct.
those words would come out of our mouth? They were supposed to be over last week, Derek. It was supposed to be over. Actually, 2 weeks ago it was supposed to be over.
Correct.
Then we staved him off for another week. Then it was supposed to be over last week, and now it's not over. And anything can happen, baby. We're right
That's
there.
right.
We're right there.
The 61%. I don't know when the last time.
I've gone from 8%, Derek. I was at 8%, riding with them, Dennis was too. Flowers, Dennis. Dennis was convinced. He made a last-second flop. At least 1 week, I convinced him to make a last-second flip, and we won it. I was riding against the Buffalo Bills, but,
You were.
And darn it, Ios was a genius.
Almost.
But 61%, I mean, Derek, who would...
I don't remember the last time the Lions had...
A favorite. When were we a CBS favorite, Derek?
Not any... Maybe against Seattle? Maybe?
I mean, wow.
That's the only other time I can think of. Maybe Seattle, maybe Washington. Because I don't even think we had the percentage when they played the Bears.
I mean, Derek, can I get your thoughts on this? Jared Goff, last 5 games, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
I mean, massive.
Last 5 games.
He's playing turnover-free football, which is...
That's what we ask. That's all we're asking.
That's all we need.
Turnover-free football.
Need. I think we have won, all but one game where Jared Goff doesn't turn the ball over. Every game but the Buffalo game, we've won where he doesn't turn the ball over because he turned it over against Seattle, turned it over against Philadelphia. Did he turn it over against Minnesota the first time? I think so.
Yep.
Definitely turned it over against New England and Dallas. Yeesh. But here's the thing. Jared Goff, away from home, has not been very good. The 2 top 10 defenses that we've played this year, we combined to score 6 points on. Granted, both of those teams were very thin at the skill position and along the offensive line. This game will pretty much make or break my thoughts on Jared Goff being a franchise quarterback.
Oh, my God. No, Derek.
The Jets are a formidable defense. They pretty much played the Bills the exact same way we did a couple weeks ago. If Jared Goff folds like a steel chair, like he has in the past, I'm out.
Wow, Derek.
But if he can bring it on the road, I'll have no choice but to say, maybe we won't need to draft a quarterback next year after all. I've already said we don't need a quarterback in this upcoming draft. But the 24 quarterback draft is going to be loaded. So we will see. This is pretty much my Jared Goff make or break game.
Oh my!
Until the next Jared Goff make or break game
against Carolina.
Because here's the thing. I took a screenshot of this on Twitter because I wanted to make sure I saved it. Here's the thing. The Lions, if they win out, are pretty much all but guaranteed to go to the playoffs. Because barring another tie, which would actually be massive if the Giants and Commanders were to tie again, because then our tiebreaker would come back into play because contrary to popular belief, true ball knowers understand that seeding is determined by win percentage, not number of wins. Correct.
That's right.
So two ties brings the Commanders and Giants. If they finished the season with 8 wins and 2 ties, the Lions with 8 wins would still go ahead with the tiebreaker because the win percentages would be the same. So we're rooting for a tie this week. But here's the rooting guide courtesy of Devoted to Detroit on Twitter. Week 15, which is this week, the 49ers to beat the Seahawks, which happened last night. Very convincing win for San Francisco. I think Gino may have written back. I think the letter is currently traveling through the Postal Service as we speak.
I think that's true.
And all it has to do is be delivered to us and we will read it. And the Lions to beat the Jets. That's the Week 15 rooting guide. Whatever happens in the Giants-Commanders game is almost kind of irrelevant because one of those teams has to lose or tie. If the Lions were to beat the Panthers in Week 16, our rooting guide would be Chiefs to beat the Seahawks. I like to think that's very possible. The 49ers to beat the Commanders.
All right.
and the Vikings to beat the Giants. Now, Bob, before the pod, you were hoping that the Vikings could potentially lose out and the Lions would win out,
Yes.
and that would secure the NFC North for the Lions.
Correct. That would do it.
Realistically speaking,
No, Derek, no.
Realistically
Not the realistically speaking again. I heard this a couple
It
weeks
would-
ago.
it would be very nice if the Vikings were to clinch the division this week so that next week they can play carefree, non-pressure football and take care of the Giants for us. Because the fact of the matter is, the Giants could very easily lose 3 of their last 4. They're going to have to play the Eagles in Week 18.
We need that massively. Oh, who could be benching? Oh, no, they could be benching people, Derek.
Correct.
Not the benching screwing us.
Which is why we need the Cowboys to beat the Eagles in Week 16.
No. No.
Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is simply, if the Eagles aren't playing for anything in Week 18, we could be doomed. So as long as the Cowboys beat Philadelphia in Week 16 and don't fold in Week 17, then Week 18 will mean something to Philadelphia, and they'll be forced to play their starters. Other games, Week 17, the Lions to beat the Bears, obviously. The Browns to beat the Commanders. And the Jets to beat the Seahawks.
Oh, no.
And then Week 18, Lions to beat the Packers, Eagles to beat the Giants, and Cowboys to beat the Commanders, results in a 100% chance of obtaining a wild card spot. Interestingly enough, that scenario also holds true if the Lions only win 3 out of their last 4. So there's a lot of chances for the Lions to get into the playoffs, but it's a 1-week season from here on out, and it starts with going to the Meadowlands and winning a game that at the very beginning of the season we thought should be a surefire win. And we'll see what happens. But I'm riding with the 61%. The Lions, we gotta have it. We gotta have it, Bob.
Darn
that
it,
way,
Derek.
that way, when we have the letdown week against Carolina,
No, Derek, don't even say that. Don't even say that. This is why I'm regretting. This is why I'm regretting talking about liking Tom Brady because I just I put bad vibes. Now Dennis is going to be not happy with the Lions, and that could somehow mess up our aura.
Let's get to
Derek.
that.
This could mess up our aura. Let's get to it. Derek.
Let's get to that. Yeah, Derek, I am completely with you. The 61% and all of the scenarios that you just laid out, the Seahawks losing, the Commanders losing, the Giants losing, the Cowboys beating the freaking Eagles so that the Eagles have to play for something, all that. Bobby, Jets, Jets. Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers are unstoppable. Justin Fields and the Bears are going to get you, and the bad man is going to absolutely ruin you at Lambeau. So those are my feelings. And my brain had a tough time processing that. Whatever that may be will be. Also, you're on your own defending Jared Goff from here on out because I did a lot of time and energy doing that with you too. It depends on who I'm talking to from here on out. So the podcast might go longer than usual.
Dennis, are we going to have to start referring to you as Dennis Arnold at this point? Are you turncoating? Are you turncoating on Bob?
I'm not.
At least I was consistent in my love of Tom Brady.
I'm not turncoating on the Detroit Lions. I'm turncoating on Bobby Epler. That's what.
Well, that's what he was saying.
Fair enough. Listen, all I gotta say, Dennis,
there's a scientific principle where like something can be true and not true at the same time, and you have to live in like both worlds. That's basically
Schrodinger's cat. Yes.
Schrodinger's cat. Thank you very much. I was trying to think of it. There we go.
I mean, here's the thing, Dennis. I would encourage you to hold off your negative energy with Bob until next week because the Jets are still playing for a playoff spot, and if the Bengals were to inexplicably drop a couple games that they shouldn't down the
Uh-oh.
stretch.
Oh, no. Seeming
Could
it.
have
Not if
impacts
Tampa.
on
Not if
seeding.
Tampa did something. Oh, God. Oh, no.
Well, you see, here's the thing, Derek. I'm used to having to defend the Bengals all by myself over here. I've been doing
True.
it for the
True.
last 4 years, so I can take that. I can take that heat.
That is true.
I mean, that's fair. And I have to stick with my guys and assume that's not going to happen. But you do have a point. You'd have a point. Anytime that we can get a NFC team beating an AFC team, pretty much regardless, any AFC team still in contention, then I'm going to take that all day long. Especially a team slotted right there in the wild card spot right now. Or wait, they're one out, right? Because
One
New
out.
England, I think, jumped in. So, but
Correct.
regardless, you don't want to take any chances with that. So, absolutely, you got a great point.
Just win. What happens if we win out? What happens if we win out, Bob? Go to the playoffs. Go into the playoffs.
Derek, it's been 30 years.
I will say this from an objective standpoint because
Now we're getting objective. Oh, my God.
Bobby, close your ears. You're not allowed to hear this. I like the Detroit Lions a lot this week. I think that they have a really good shot, especially with Zach Wilson at quarterback. The defense has played much better, and I don't know really what he's put hands down. I really don't know what he is going to do on offense. I don't think the players particularly like him, so they're not going to be happy about the fact that he's in there. And the Detroit Lions, I mean, both teams have so much to play for, but just ride the wave of momentum right now. It's not even close.
I just don't see how the Jets score.
Yeah, that's the problem. And sure, the defense is maybe going to make Jared Goff make some mistakes, but just hand it off to Jamal Williams. If you can get the running game going at all, it's over.
Yeah,
because you can control the whole game.
The only thing that slightly worries me about the Jets is mobile quarterback.
No, Derek.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's as big of a threat to run upfield as like Justin Fields and Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. He's much more of a scramble around in the backfield type of mobile and try to make a play rather than run upfield and try and get some yards.
And you guys, I mean, that's fair, but you guys shut down Trevor Lawrence, who can be mobile. You guys shut down Daniel Jones, who is, I mean, not mobile, but can't a little bit. I mean, he's some designed runs.
More mobile than not mobile, I'd say for Daniel.
You're correct.
Jones.
Yeah. So I mean, and you beat Justin Fields all by the slimmest of margins.
Correct.
So
even though he put up like almost 200 rushing yards. See, that's the thing. That's the thing with the Lions.
Crazy.
They picked their poison. They said Justin Fields can run on us all day, but if he can't throw the ball, then we have a good chance to win. And we won 31-30 because he threw a pick six. Justin Jefferson, we said, we're going to cover him one-on-one, and we're going to force Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins to beat us by methodically moving down the field, and the Vikings couldn't do it for a full game. Aaron Rodgers, we completely took away the run game and said, Aaron Rodgers, dare you to throw the ball all over us, and he couldn't. Same thing went for Daniel Jones. We took away Saquon Barkley entirely and forced Daniel Jones to have to throw it all over us, and he couldn't. We took away Dalvin Cook entirely, forced Kirk Cousins to throw all over us. He did, but they didn't score enough touchdowns. So with the Jets don't have a running game. So I will not be surprised if they take away what's left of their non-existent running game and force Zach Wilson to try and throw it on him. Because they didn't call him Mr. INT for nothing. I'll say that much on Zach Wilson.
There's something else to keep an eye on. Just something I heard earlier today that I think is noteworthy here. Quinn Williams, the big Jets tackle, questionable Correct. Sunday. Did not practice this whole week. Big factor up front, and especially in stopping the run game for the Jets defense. So if he's not going, you got to even feel better as a Lions fan.
Correct. I've been watching that all week, Dennis. Been watching.
I imagine so. I'm not surprised by that.
Now, time for my favorite part of our NFL. Discussions. We've got a lot of really interesting games.
When me and Bobby have to reunite and and overthrow Derek's reign on horrible games.
I mean,
After Dennis just ran me through with a sword, backstabbed
we
me.
we
Well,
have
that's
some
just. I mean, that's just. Don't forget about the sword that was placed in my back first. But go ahead.
we have some games that are good teams playing bad teams. So Eagles Bears seems like a given.
Come
Chiefs
on, Justin
Texans,
Fields.
that would be huge. That would be huge. Because it'd make it more likely that the Eagles have something to play for in Week 18. But all likelihood, the Bears defense can't stop a nosebleed, so the Eagles over the Bears. Chiefs over the Texans seems easy. Cowboys over the Jags seems easy, even though the Texans gave them a scare last week. And the Bengals over the Bucs seems pretty easy, at least to me. And so do the Vikings over the Colts.
Yep.
And then we have probably the best game of the week, not named Lions Jets, and that's going to be Dolphins Bills tomorrow night. We don't discuss those types of games in this segment, but I've got the Bills by like 10 because Tua blows, and
Man,
he's never.
an actual game I wanted to talk about. Derek's going to refuse to let us talk about.
Yeah, well, Dennis, let's talk about it then. Let's talk about it. Tua, I don't think, has ever played in a game where it's been colder than 36 degrees or something like that. And he tried to
I know
say
he's played
that.
3 and under 45.
Yeah, and he tried to say that because it snows in Alabama, that if he's built for cold weather. He's not built for cold weather. The Dolphins are not built for cold weather. I think the Bills are going to steamroll them. Frankly, to put it frankly, Tua looked bad against the Chargers last week, and the Chargers couldn't even, run the bathwater for the Bills. So this is going to be, in all likelihoods, a blowout. A divisional game, you throw the records out, but nah. The Bills are an elite team, and they'll prove it.
I mean, I more or less I agree with you. I think I also have questions about exactly how well built the Bills are for the cold weather, which is super ironic. I mean, they're relying on most games of pretty elite passing game that involves down the field to Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. Now, the thing that they have in the back pocket that the Dolphins don't is that Josh Allen can just take it up the gut for 10 yards and just shut guys off of them. So that's probably where I give the biggest edge to the Bills because of the weather. And then outside of that, I think the issue is just not even the weather. It's just that the Dolphins have just had a couple of rough weeks. I mean, of course, they can always bounce back. I mean, you're talking about some elite playmakers, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but frankly, Tua's just not looked good. He's just gotten shaken up early in games, and this is something I've heard people talk about, but I think you've seen come true the last couple weeks, especially, is that he takes a couple hits early in the game or misses a couple passes, and you can just tell he's a little rattled. I don't think he has the mental fortitude of some of the other quarterbacks in the league, and maybe it will come with more experience, but he just gets rattled. And you start seeing him missing even more throws, and by even larger margins, overthrowing dudes and just not able to run through his progressions and do what he needs to do as a quarterback. He just panics, and I think if that happens at all this week, which it's happened the last 2, the Dolphins might be in for a long day.
I mean, the last game pretty much came down when the Dolphins beat the Bills earlier this year in Week 3. The Bills dude punting it off of his up man's backside for a safety.
True. My loser of the week. I forget his name.
I mean, so I think and the other thing is the Dolphins have been not a good team away from home.
True.
I was just looking through it quickly. They lost last week in LA. They lost the week before that at San Francisco. And San Francisco is a team I've been really high on all year, and I think Buffalo is at least equal with them. They lost at Cincinnati when Tua got knocked out, but I didn't think it was going to matter anyway. They lost at the Jets 40-17. They barely beat the Bears 35-32. If Jared Goff would have hit a wide open DJ Shark, they would have lost at Detroit. The fact of the matter is they're just not a very good team away from home. So I think that plays very much into the Bills' favor. Bob, you got
Yeah,
anything?
and sorry,
No, go ahead, Dennis.
I was just going to say the last thing on this, from me anyway, is just the irony of, the first time these two teams played in Miami, people were literally peeling over from heat exhaustion, and now it's going to be sub-freezing in Buffalo. And I mean, I just can't think of a rival game that had so much of a weather flip than this one
Right.
between the two times these teams have played.
Now for the actual good games that the people actually care about. Steelers Panthers. That is an awesome game. Both teams at 5-8.
Bobby, I got to let you
The
take this one.
Steelers are fighting for Mike Tomlin's 500 record in this game. If he loses, it's over. They are guaranteed to finish under 500. Bob, the resurgent Carolina Panthers.
And it couldn't have come at a better time, Derek. It couldn't have come at a better time
They've won 2 in a row in
because
3 of the last 4.
because I wouldn't want any other team in the AFC North to contest the lovely Cincinnati Bengals. And Mike Tomlin needs to end. It needs to end. It needs to be over. I don't know how he does it. Really, by hook or by crook. And I quite part of me actually wants to pick Carolina, or actually wants to pick Pittsburgh in this game, just because I don't know if it's like actually possible in the universe that Mike Tomlin doesn't get to 500. But I'm not gonna do it because I've been
Written in the stars.
I've been speaking about this since before the season started. It's at home with the favored Panthers team that's been looking better as of late. I have no reason to think that they couldn't get it done against a mediocre, at best, Pittsburgh Steelers. Please. I actually think I looked at the Steelers record, or the Steelers schedule coming up, and it wasn't actually that bad, which was very concerning to me, which is why I need the Carolina Panthers to end all hopes, abandon all hope, ye who enter here, and end it right now. And Mike Tomlin, we can finally stop talking about how the man never, every time I hear about him, never has, it's been 20 years since the under 500 record or whatever. I'm done with it. It's over. You've had your time. It's time for the Pittsburgh Steelers to finally understand what it's like to be a poverty franchise. You've had your time in the sun. Thank you.
I don't think I could have put it better myself. Dennis, I imagine you have nothing further to add.
I don't have a ton to add. That was pretty well done, I gotta say. The only thing really that, and sorry if I missed it, is I think I'm riding with the Carolina Panthers too, because they have a division to play for, and Pittsburgh is, 2 games out of the wild card, and they're not mathematically eliminated, but things are looking bleak, and I just don't trust a team to get up for its head coach with some record versus a team trying to win a division and make the playoffs. So I agree with you, and it needs to end. I know that I was maybe not as passionate about this subject, but man, I can't stand Pittsburgh. I have a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin, but I can't stand Pittsburgh, and I hope it ends.
It does scare me that the Panthers would win, seeing as the Lions would play the Panthers next week, and the Panthers would still have something to play for. I'd like to play a Panthers team that has nothing to play for. So just keep that in mind this week. With the Steelers.
Well, how do you feel about these? How do you feel about these quickly 3 games? If Mike Tomlin keeps the dream alive. If Mike Tomlin keeps the dream alive, it's at home versus the Raiders, at the Ravens, and home against the Browns.
Win, loss, loss.
So not shoe-in games, to finish the season 9-8 by a long shot.
Yeah. I think they'll beat the Raiders, although they actually, they might go 0-3 the rest of the way, to be honest. Their offense is horrific. Horrific.
The Ravens, who will be absolutely in a battle for the AFC North at that point.
Correct.
Dennis, how would you feel? How would you feel if you lost the division to the backup quarterback of the Ravens?
To Tyler Huntley? Oh man, I mean, here's the thing though. Not to divert too much, but the thing with Tyler Huntley is he was literally built to be Lamar's backup. Like, there's a very specific reason that the Baltimore Ravens have him there, and it's very smart. on the part of the coaching staff and the front office, and it's worked in the past. And so, and I don't have like statistics to back this up, but when a starting quarterback goes down and the backup comes in, he's one of the more like he might be one of the guys I say this didn't even really matter. Like he's had that much success in the role that they've carved out for Lamar Jackson that it's like, yeah, it's a little tick down because it's not Lamar, but it's not as much of a tick down for a backup that you would expect. So it would still hurt though. It would still hurt.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
come on. It would still sting a little.
Because people could still say that you lost the division to a backup, which would hurt. But also not nobody was expecting us to win this division a few weeks ago when everyone was looking at the schedule saying, Baltimore's going to roll through these games. Cincinnati's got to beat Kansas City. Oh, we did it. Beat Tennessee. Oh, we did it. Beat Cleveland with Deshaun Watson. Oh, we did that too. So, I wouldn't feel that bad about it if the Ravens just went out and, it's because they had a weak schedule down the stretch. That's fine. I would feel good as a 5 seed.
The Steelers' offense is bad, almost as bad as our next team, the Denver Broncos.
Oh,
Facing off against the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray
God.
has torn his ACL.
Talk about backups.
Russell
No.
Wilson is concussed, and even though he passed protocol, they ruled him out. So it's going to be Mark Rippon
what is that?
versus Colt McCoy in Denver in a Sunday afternoon.
Dennis, are we seriously talking about this game?
We are.
I mean,
We
give
are.
me a break on
I
this.
I think this is another dimension that we've entered, and Derek is torturing us as some punishment. I mean, this man is going to make us talk about like non-playoff teams the first round of the playoffs that could theoretically be matched up against each other. That's what we're going to be talking about.
No,
in this
no,
podcast. I mean,
no,
come
no.
on.
No, we'll only talk about playoff teams when the playoffs come around. We
Oh, so
won't.
we
We don't
gotta
have to talk
wait till
about this
then.
game too much. I'm just curious who you're taking. I've got to take Denver. I can't get off the Denver train. I have them on the ban list, and I'm going to take them anyway.
Here's the thing, Derek. I can only pick games and take games that I can stomach to watch. And since this is not on the list of games I can stomach to watch, I don't know if I really have a take.
I picked the Cardinals.
Thank you, Bobby.
I picked
Thank
the
you for.
Cardinals.
Thank you.
They're just better in pretty much all aspects, in my opinion. Maybe except the defense than the Broncos. And when you have a guy named Colt McCoy as your backup quarterback, that's just a perfect quarterback name. And so, therefore, you should get the job done. I've always liked Colt.
I mean, career backup.
Colt did get roughed around against New England. I mean, he was taking hits like nobody's business back there. I mean, I was feeling bad for the guys.
Then you got to put your body on the line.
Old journeyman's like going around the league and just getting blown up.
Last game, I promise. Rams Packers.
What the?
Monday Night Football. Somehow this game didn't get flexed out.
When
Bob,
is it
you should want to talk about this game. It's Baker Mayfield versus Aaron Rodgers with a chance to effectively eliminate the Packers from playoff contention.
The Packers are 7-point favorites, Derek. 7-point, a tub favorite, a tub
Against your boy, Bob.
Big Show.
Against your
The
boy.
Big Show.
I mean, what
That's
say
right.
you?
I mean, this is not
What say
even a
you,
question.
Bob?
Of course, I'm taking the Big Show. Of course.
That's right, baby.
I mean, when I like a player, I ride with them, and that's what I do. And shake and bake. I mean, he learned the playbook in 2 days, came in, whooped some behind last week, and now got NFC Offensive Player of the Week, rightfully deserved. And now it's time to show the bad man that it's over. He can go home, and he's got nothing to play for the rest of the season, so he might as well pack it up and lose week 18 to the Detroit Lions when they come to, because he's got nothing to play for. Thank you.
Dennis, who you got?
The thing, the magic from the playbook off the plane and all that kind of stuff.
Oh no! Oh no!
It's worn off. I can't do it. The bad man is going to put the Rams in their place, and by the way, help the Detroit Lions by doing so.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
Not
After Baker's
Bobby
shenanigans,
putting his fandom for
cost
Baker
us like
ahead of
4
the
draft
Detroit
pick
Lions.
spots.
Correct.
Ridiculous.
So, I'm just looking out for the team that I'm rooting for with Derek here. So
the difference between a top 5 pick and a top 10 pick is vast. I would like to stay in the top 5.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, the magic's worn off. Baker did not look good at other parts of that game. It was really just a miracle, like last 5 minutes, which was impressive to say the least.
Come on, come on.
With the whole week,
I know you saw that.
There was also a little bit of I think that game was incredibly difficult to game plan for because you're like, okay, is it going to be John Wolford, who we have some tape on? Is it going to be Baker, who doesn't even know the playbook, who we have tape on, but not for this team? I think there was a lot of difficulty in game planning for that. It's just like when you see a rookie quarterback off the bench and he goes off the first time he plays a game because nobody knows what to expect. I don't think Matt LaFleur is going to fall for that this week. Not on Monday Night Football. I don't think he's getting embarrassed. Give me the pack.
When is it time for the Detroit Lions to do the primetime game? Come on. We're only winning a ton in a row. We're on a streak. We're in the hunt. It's time for us to get some. It's time for us to get some screen time.
We might. They very well could give us week 18.
Packers? Are you kidding me? The Rams Packers. We got to watch on Monday night. Both teams who are better than.
Correct.
Oh, Bobby,
what can you
they
do?
only play. They only flex in the Chiefs. And any other team out of the AFC West. Those are the only teams that they acceptably flex into.
I'm sure we're going to see somehow,
And the Cowboys.
I'm sure we're going to somehow see that the game from Miami and Buffalo has been moved to Monday night somehow. Just ridiculous.
The flex window has passed, Bob. The flex window has passed for this week's games. Winners and losers. We'll move on. I won't torture you guys any longer. Bob, how about you start us off with your winner of the week?
Yeah, I was actually going to go with none other than the Troy Trojans this week for my winner of the week. I got a chance to watch a good portion of this bowl game, the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl, against the UTSA Roadrunners, as we previously mentioned. Just the sloppiest bowl game you will ever see. 7 turnovers in this ball game, and it wasn't pretty. I swear, every single time I looked at the screen, some dude was laying the boomstick, fumbles were flying, and then there was flags for unsportsmanlike conduct, tauntings. It was just Bush League stuff going on on this field. But credit to Troy, down. They were down 12-0 to start this ball game and rattle off 18 straight unanswered on the back of 5 turnovers to win. So for a couple of teams that don't really get any love because of their small conferences, but both had very good seasons, the Troy Trojans deserve a little bit of light, so I'm going to go with them the winner of the week.
12-2, Bob. They can't take it away from them. Unless they had illegal violations, then they can.
Correct.
Dennis, you're a winner.
Speaking of illegal violations, my winner of the week, Sean Miller, who was Derek. I know you have some thoughts. I assume you have some thoughts on this.
Screw you, Jay Billis. Screw you. Screw you. ESPN random writer who now has to cover golf because he screwed himself up writing the basketball report. And screw you, bozo, white, bald, old dude on ESPN, who's Seth Greenberg. Screw him, too, after the witch hunt that those 3 bozos laid against the U of A program. Vindication. Screw them. I know Bob can join me in the screw Jay Billis because he's always talking crap about MSU.
And guess what? I'm so glad you mentioned that, Derek, because I was just about to add something else. Screw Robbie Hummel, too, because now every time we don't get Jay Billis, we get Robbie Hummel. So I can't win watching MSU basketball this season. It's either Jay Billis, chronic, flagrant MSU hater, or Robbie Hummel, chronic, flagrant MSU hater, and it's just almost unwatchable at this point. It's almost unwatchable.
Is it more or less unwatchable than Bill Walton?
Oh my God! My mom literally made a comment.
Oh, it's got to be more watchable than Bill Walton. It's got to be.
My mom made a comment when Bill Walton was calling some of our games because we were in that, tournament. She said that this guy is single-handedly the worst announcer I've ever seen. She's like, I can't stand him. He doesn't make any sense. There's no coordination. He just gets riled about random stuff that just doesn't even matter.
He does. Then that's why we love him. That's why we love him out in the Pac-12 country.
He had like 10 Pac-12 teams in the tournament last year, like in his projections. It's just fucking world, man.
Yeah. Feel free to continue, Dennis. Sorry for stealing your thunder, but I saw that too, and that felt real good.
I figured you had some thoughts on that, being an Arizona a fan now and invested in that program. I figured you had some thoughts, but also Sean Miller, who returned to the University of Xavier this year, where he spent quite a bit of time before going to Arizona. Just for quick context, I don't know all the details, but basically just cleared of all wrongdoing in like a case from 4 years ago where some assistant coaches did some very shady and not good stuff. Consider like taking bribes for certain things and luring players towards things that they shouldn't. Anyway, basically, Sean Miller and the rest of the program were cleared of wrongdoing, and it was pretty much isolated to those coaches that committed some violations and did some not great stuff. So, winner Sean Miller. He made a statement, basically, finally glad to have this behind me and move forward from here.
Correct. Yeah. Mark Schlabach. He can screw off. That's who it was. That's the bozo who wrote the smear campaign against Sean Miller.
I did love the tangent to Jay Billis and Bill Walton. No, that was amazing. That was great.
I mean, that's
Bill Walton is literally unwatchable.
Dick Vitale. You can screw off too. Dickie B on Twitter says, all of you who want us at ESPN to apologize to Sean Miller can't be serious. 2 assistants were severely penalized. In previous cases, it was said by the NCAA that the head coach was responsible for their staff. If there were no violations, why did the president of Arizona give out sanctions? Screw you, Dickie B. You can... Congratulations on beating whatever you beat, but screw you.
Only cancer.
Yeah, whatever it was. I don't even care. Zero accountability at ESPN. Zero accountability. Doesn't matter if you're right as long as you report it first and smear an entire university's basketball program on your way out. Okay, very cool. My winner of the week. Detroit Pistons fans and the quest in the tank for Victor Wembanyama. Cade Cunningham, unfortunately, undergoing season-ending surgery for the stress fracture in his shin. The Pistons already have the lowest win total in the NBA. Bring Victor home, dang it, Bob. Bring Victor home. And not to mention, with Cade going out, actually I'll save it for in case someone has him as their right bench baller. Does anyone have a certain Pistons point guard as their right bench baller?
I do not. No.
All right. Honorable mention for winner of the week, Killian Hayes. Dude has been balling out ever since it was announced Cade Cunningham was done for the year. I don't know if it's a confidence thing and thinking that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder and think he's going to be benched for every turnover. But dude had some Charlotte Hornets dudes on absolute skates a couple nights ago, dropped 25 points. Very happy for Killian Hayes. Please continue performing well so that we don't have to call you a bust. Bob, you're a loser.
None other than previously alluded to Washington State for allowing Michigan State and Mel Tucker to flip a nice 4-star quarterback to our ranks because we are potentially in dire need of quarterback help. We'll see. But yeah, massive stuff. MSU, putting together a nice little recruiting class next year. We got 10 4-stars that are committed to us, and nothing to sneeze at from Mel Tuck. Got to give it to him. He is good on the recruiting trail. Let's see if we can translate that into some on the field success next season.
Mel's working the recruits. You love to see it.
And the portal.
And the phones. That's right.
Oh no! Oh, not the inhale.
Dennis, you're a loser.
The NIO. Yeah, I'm sticking with the theme of college basketball coaches. Chris Beard, University of Texas head men's basketball coach who has been suspended from his position as a basketball
Oh
coach
no!
following his arrest on third-degree felony charge after allegedly trying to strangle his
Oh
fiance, I
no!
believe.
Oh no!
That was the article I wrote. So not a good situation for Chris and the University of Texas, and it's unfortunate too because he really has been one of the better college basketball coaches the last couple of years. Um, really had some standout success with Texas Tech, and then went over to Texas, which I believe is his alma mater. So just not a good situation, and he's probably not happy right now, and deservedly so.
He's done. He's done. Yeah. Big time loser. Definitely, Dennis. That was a good one. My loser, gullible news people. Dan Campbell had an interview this week with Pat McAfee and the Pat McAfee show, and he told a couple stories. One about what was sort of going on in the headset when they called the fake punt, and the other when they ran the Panay Sewell, one of the greatest plays I've seen in my life, the Panay Sewell in motion into the flat to get the first down conversion when they needed it most. And he told a couple of very entertaining stories. For the Panay Sewell play in particular, he said that he was so, encapsulated by the crowd doing the wave that he just sort of heard Ben Johnson say the play in his ear, and then he said, "Yeah, that's fine." And then he saw them throw the ball, and he said, "What the f are we doing?" Something along those lines. It was really good. They were two really good stories, and that's exactly what they were, stories, jokes to be more specific. That didn't stop a bunch of bozo social media interns at ESPN and Fox and CBS from being like, Dan Campbell is a genius, or listen to what Dan Campbell had to say about that pivotal fake punt call. So many people thought he was being serious, including my local CBS WNEM TV network. How stupid are people that they actually thought Dan Campbell was watching the wave before a critical fourth down play? What are we doing here? So yeah, gullible news people. There are some people that don't deserve to talk about sports. There are plenty of ESPN personalities who did it too. Um, it would have taken all of 30 seconds to watch Dan Campbell's press conference where he said he was so locked into the game he didn't even know there was a wave going on for 5 minutes in the crowd, but I digress. Any honorable mention winners and losers from the rest of you?
I have I had an ironic twist on a winner. The Louisville basketball program for winning a game. I think
Oh, they won?
they won on Wednesday night. They beat the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers
Oh,
94 to 83.
I thought they won a Power Five game, Dennis. You got my hopes up.
No, well, no, it doesn't have to be a Power Five game because they hadn't won any game before that, Power
True.
Five or
True.
non-Power Five. They were like 0-9.
Do
So
the Cal
beating
Golden
Western
Bears have a
Kentucky.
win yet?
Oh, I don't know about that. I didn't check in on that. I just checked in on Louisville, baby. We need one of those, the gold star memes, where it's congratulations for winning a
Cal
game.
Cal is 0 and 11. They're 0 and
Oh man,
11.
Cal is still on the streak. Wow, wow.
They might be the only Power Five team without a win. Nope.
As of last
Not
week, it
only
was only a couple.
not only are they the only Power Five team without a win, they're the only team in the NCAA without a win. The only team. 363 Division One basketball teams, and they're the only one without a win. That is
Say
impressive.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, there was a few other teams because I noted them down, but they must have all won a game since then.
Mississippi Valley, I think, was one of them.
Yeah, like Central Connecticut State,
Something like that.
Monmouth, Jackson State, and Green Bay. Anyway, I digress.
Derek, I have an honorable mention winner that I think you'll get a kick out of. None, None other than Derek's favorite rapper of all time, Gunna, freed from prison, struck a plea deal, is now free again. Derek, can I get your thoughts?
I saw that. I was distraught. The RICO charges, and he got out on a plea deal.
Got him out on time served.
Unbelievable. Let's just say that I saw that in my news feed and then kept scrolling.
Oh, wow.
Irrelevant. My only other honorable mention winner was Jalen Duren, because he had a game where he had like 7 points and like, how many rebounds did he have that game? Let me double check. It was something crazy. It was like 17 rebounds or something like that. What was it? Gosh dang it. This is embarrassing. 19 rebounds, 7 points, 19 rebounds against the Hornets. Dude's a beast. And thank you, New York Knicks, for giving us your pick to get Jalen Duren. Thank you. And thank you, Troy Weaver, one of the greatest. How about Detroit GMs, Bob? Steve Yzerman has got the Red Wings on an upward trajectory, just outside of a playoff spot currently. Brad Holmes just fleecing the Vikings for TJ Hawkinson, fleecing teams like the Rams for first-round picks and Jared Goff.
Yep.
Drafting Malcolm Rodriguez, signing Jerry Jacobs when he was an undrafted free agent. Obviously, thank you, Jacksonville, for giving us Aiden Hutchinson, but they still had to put the pick in. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brad Holmes guy. Justin Houston, the other rookie defensive end who has like 3 sacks in 4 games. And Troy Weaver, obviously, the Pistons GM, for getting Jalen Duren, for having faith in Killian Hayes, for drafting Jaden Ivey. The Tigers GM is up next, and hopefully Michael Papierski isn't our zenith.
Oh no! Michael Papierski as a zenith. That's tough. Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. Dennis, right bench baller. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's Chris Moore from the Houston Texans, who had a 10 reception, 124-yard day against the Cowboys and almost a winning effort, which was one of the more entertaining games last Sunday because it was far from expected, I would say, that Dallas was in the situation they found themselves in late in the game. They did end up winning, but kind of a crazy, unexpected result. Chris Moore, over 100-something yards. Houston just has like no receivers. But he was catching passes from, and I almost did this guy. He was catching passes from Jeff Driscoll. Baby. Jeff we trust.
Legend.
Lions
Bengals
and Bengals
legend.
That's right,
Jeff
baby.
Driscoll.
Jeff Driscoll got a little action. He was running free on some plays that I saw. They brought him in and he was, rolling out, taking off it a couple of times and making some things happen. But yeah, Chris Moore, right bench baller.
Bob.
Somebody that I think just needs to be recognized for their bump and play as of late. I'm going with none other than Derek's man, Jordan Poole, as my right bench baller. Man's been called into some serious action now that Steph Curry's gone out with a shoulder injury for a few weeks. Just thought I'd cite some interesting numbers. In the month of November, Jordan was averaging 15 points a game on 28% 3-point shooting and 39% field goal percentage for the month. Not looking good at all. The pool party was on hold. But in the month of December, really since the injury to Steph, Man's bumped it up to 24 points a game with a 44% field goal percentage, and bumped that 3-point percentage up to 35%. With of course a lovely 90% from the free throw line, which you always gotta like. Dropped on actually yesterday, or I think it was actually technically technically Friday, which is now yesterday now, had 29 points against the 76ers in a losing effort, but still a nice performance from him as he was 50% from the field, 10 of 20 from the floor. So Jordan bumping up the numbers a little bit, well needed, and it's going to need to be big if the Warriors are going to continue to their quest to repeat this year.
My right bench baller is one of my least favorite players from college basketball over the past couple years before he went to the NBA. Former LSU and now Minnesota Timberwolves center Naz Reid. I think this dude is one of the most goofiest bozo athletes of all time. He was always flexing and yelling when he was at LSU when he would average like 6 points a game. Here's the stat line from their win over OKC: 37 minutes, 11 of 18 from the field, 3 of 5 from three, 9 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 28 points for the game for Naz Reid. It doesn't change my opinion that I think he's a goofy bum. Um, career 9 points per game, but he balled out. He balled out, and I'll have to give him props. So Naz Reid, third season in the league, dropped a fat 28 bomb, and the Timberwolves needed it all against OKC. Bob, before we get into your segment, Garbage Time Takes Your Money, a brief recap from last week's. Bob gave us the lovely game that was the Cardinals-Patriots Monday night game. New England was favored by 1.5. The over-under was 43.5. Kyler Murray tore his ACL on the third play of the game or something like that, and
the third play of the game, non-contact.
Immediately killed mine and Bob's chances for our Arizona pick. Me and Bob also took the over. So a fat 0 for 2 for me and Bob. Dennis, New England and the under, 2 for 2. Round of applause for Dennis. Oh, that was my other honorable mention loser. All of the proponents for all grass fields in the NFL, there's no difference, people, between the amount of injuries on turf fields and grass fields. I know there's a big storm about turning all the turf fields to grass fields. ACL injuries are going to happen regardless. It's the nature of the sport. Injuries are going to happen regardless. It's the nature of the sport. Arizona has some of the best grass in the league because they grow it outside and then they bring it in for game days. So yeah, all the we need grass fields everywhere. It took a bit of a hit because there were a ton of injuries in that Patriots-Cardinals game. But I digress. Bob, take it away.
I mean, there's really no better game to go to this week than the game that ended in a tie last time we saw it. The Washington Commanders versus the New York Giants. I mean, it's tough to separate these two teams, quite literally, because they couldn't be done in a full game of play last time we saw them. The Washington Commanders at home in this one are currently 4.5-point favorites. The over-under to this game is 40.5 points. Dennis, thoughts?
Yeah, I have, you're completely correct. It's hard to separate these two teams, but for it being a game that feels like it should be hard to separate, I clearly lean one direction, which makes me think that I'm probably going to be wrong. But I got to stick with my gut, and it's the Washington Commanders. I mean, the Giants are coming off of 2 weeks ago when they really needed to beat the Commanders in a really brutal game that they ended up tying, had multiple chances to win that game. Then they had to get absolutely smoked by Philadelphia last week. And now they got to come back and play the Commanders again after having basically no time to prepare. Meanwhile, the Washington Commanders had 2 weeks with the bye week last week instead of getting smoked by Philadelphia. And they get to play at home. I just think this Giants team is on the decline. And I would dare say that the Washington team is on the rise. And as I've done with other matchups in this podcast, I'm going to ride the wave of momentum and take the Commanders. As for the over-under, I think wasn't it like 20-20 2 weeks ago? That was the tie.
I think so.
And it's at 40.5. I mean, I mean, that was an easy one for Vegas. Uh, I think I lean. I think I lean over here though, especially with the overtime possibility. Um, I think I lean over just because that's a lower number, and I think both of these teams have enough on offense to get to it. It's close though.
Bob, I know you like to be the contrarian when needed, so I'll go next. Mainly because I agree with Dennis. My first instinct was take Washington, take the over. Um, like you said, Dennis, Commanders had 2 weeks to prepare. Really, the Commanders
It
earned
seems
that
too
tie.
easy. It seems
It
too
does.
easy.
It does. But the Commanders earned that tie where the Giants lost that tie. Because, like you said, the Giants had all the chances to win, blew them, and the Commanders fought back late in the game to tie it, and sort of stole a tie from the jaws of defeat. I don't think they make that same mistake this week. Got all the extra preparation, got all the extra health. New York has just been decimated by injuries this year. Got to be pretty demoralized coming off of that loss to Philadelphia. And if they lose this one, I think the wheels are going to fall off completely. So I'm going to take Washington in the over as well. And hopefully, for my sake, Dennis's hot hand continues.
Well, I'm glad that you left me to be last, Derek, because I had the complete opposite line of thinking about this game. I'm taking the Giants and the 4.5 points and the under, because I think this. I mean, for teams that tied 2 weeks ago to then a team to have 5 point, basically a 5 point advantage, seems a little much to me. I don't need the Giants to win. I just need them to come close, which I think they can do, especially because I don't think that there's going to be a lot of points in this game, with the over/under being set at 40.5. So that means the odds are that much better that it's going to be a close one. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I definitely think that the Commanders should be the favorites, but I definitely can see a world where the Giants win that game, considering that they were better for most of the game that they played the first time around until they weren't. But no, give me the Giants and the points and the under, because I think we're gonna be in for another slugfest.
For what it's worth, this is the Giants' fourth appearance in Garbage Time Takes Your Money. That is the most of any team this season.
Always in close games.
The Saints have 2. The Eagles have 2. The Commanders have 2. The Bengals have 3. So the Giants break the tie with the Bengals for most appearances on Garbage Time Takes Your Money. And then there's a smattering of other teams, but yeah, the Giants fourth appearance on Garbage Time Takes Your Money. And those games, just because this is kind of fun. Let's see. I'm 0 for 2, 2 for 4, 2 for 6. I'm 2 and 6 in games involving the Giants, so take that for what you will. Dennis, you are 1 and 1, 3 and 4, or 3 and 1. Dennis, you are 4 and 2 in games
All right, there we
involving
go.
the Giants.
That's better. I like it. I like it.
And Bob, 1, 2, 2. Bob, you are also 2 and 4 with me in games involving the Giants. So Dennis, one of those streaks is going to continue. Either my curse of the Giants or your blessing of the Giants. So we'll see what happens. A lot at stake. Bob, take it away.
At Garbage Time Takes on Instagram, at Garbage Time Takes on Twitter, and of course find the video or the link to the description of our website in the description of the video. Thank you for all the support. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.
Dennis, any other closing thoughts?
I'm all good. I've said my piece. It's been a fiery episode, boys. This has been a fiery episode. I love it.
It was a good one. Very entertaining, very
This
fun,
is good stuff,
as
man.
always. As always, like Bob said, we appreciate the support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the views. How many are we on the road to 25 subs, Bob? Is that our road currently?
Let me take a quick peek on that. We're still on the road to, yes, we're still on the road to 25.
On the road to 25. Whoever's watching this video, you can help us get there. If you like our content, like what we're putting out, we greatly appreciate it. Feel free to check out the website, as Bob said. And as always, we appreciate the support. Without further ado, happy holidays. In case we don't release an episode next week, I'm not sure. We have not talked about it. But in case we don't, happy holidays. Thanks so much for watching. And with that, in 3,
1. Peace.
peace.
Peace.